Your Float 2. It's time for my It movie review. Hello nerds, today is my first movie review that I've done in quite some time, and of course it's got to be about the movie It. It's obviously based on the novel by Stephen King, and many of you will have seen the 90s TV miniseries adaptation of It, where Tim Curry played Pennywise. That TV miniseries slash film, whatever you want to call it, was a big part of my growing up, and myself and my brother really loved that film. We loved the creepy clown, we loved everything about it, and it was something we watched over and over again when we were kids, and so it was only fitting that when the movie came out, me and my brother went to see it together. Just brought up a lot of nostalgia from our childhood, and yeah, I wanted to give you my thoughts and my review on the movie. Okay, first of all, if you know the story of it, they've changed the timeline of the movie. They've set this in the 80s, whereas it was in the 50s originally, which I thought was a great idea because it makes it more relatable to people of my generation and the generation that's growing up now, because the 80s wasn't that far away. They've got parents from the 80s. There's a lot more films and stuff from the 80s, so they can understand what it was like during that decade. And I thought that was great, and especially being a nerd of the 80s, having it set in the 80s was a massive plus for me. So, if people aren't too sure about what this movie is walking into it, most people will probably make the assumption it's just a straight up horror movie. But I wouldn't say that. I would actually say it's more of a coming of age story about the young kids in the movie. It's more about the young kids in the movie, as well as it is about Pennywise and what it is. I loved the way they handled the kids. I thought that they were a believable bunch of friends that would have grown up in the 80s. They come across completely authentic. The camaraderie between the kids, the fact that they sweared a lot, you know, they come up with dirty, dark, humoured jokes, and just taking the mick, the banter, I thought was great between all of them. I couldn't fault a single one of the kids in the movie. I thought they were a really good bunch of kids, and yeah, we've had other groups of kids like this in films and TV series that you sort of have to relate to and feel a connection to. The Goonies being the obvious choice, and I'd say from more modern times, Stranger Things as well. And I think this group of kids, the Losers Club, really stand up with those other groups of kids from famous movies and shows. And it was important to make them believable as a group of kids and to make you feel some sort of connection to them, because then the suspense and the dread of what might happen to them, it hits you hard when you're in the film and you don't want to see them get hurt. You know, especially since I've been a father as well, I get very emotional when it comes to any sort of children. The very first scene with Georgie, I felt really emotional, because I just think to myself, what if that was my child that went missing or got killed or whatever? And they did a great job of really making you feel emotionally tied and invested in the characters. It's always a danger when they remake a movie that's got a lot of hardcore fans. You know, the 90s miniseries movie is not by any means a good film. It's actually pretty crap if you watch it now, I think. The bits where Pennywise is in and Tim Curry are amazing, but the rest of it isn't very good. It doesn't hold up to the test of time, and the end of that thing, where the plasticine weird looking spider thing is crap. So I think with this they were quite lucky, because you know there are a lot of fans out there that wouldn't want to see too much changed or altered, but then I think enough of the people realised that it isn't actually, the 90s miniseries wasn't great, and they just loved the Pennywise bits, so they could get away with this remake. And I think the reception I've heard from it is pretty good. I found this movie to be well written, it was well acted, and it was well cast. I think they picked the kids very well, and Pennywise was cast very well. Bill Skarsgård, coming from a famous family of other actors, his dad, his brothers. He done a brilliant job, and I was, very apprehensive about anyone who would have been cast as Pennywise, because they've got to live up to Tim Curry. And he didn't do exactly the same as Tim Curry. He didn't try and copy Tim Curry. He did his own thing, but there was enough similarities between the two Pennywises, I think, and enough differences to make this feel new, but also relatable to the original 90s miniseries. I almost feel like you could compare it to Jack Nicholson's Joker versus Heath Ledger's Joker, and now we'll be talking about Tim Curry's Pennywise as opposed to Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise. I think Bill Skarsgård did an excellent job. He was creepy, he was sort of always lurking around, he was sort of borderline funny and humorous in places, but not for long, and then he's very sinister, and yeah, I thought he did a really good job. I didn't find the movie massively scary, I have to admit. But then I don't think it's intended to be a straight up horror film scare fest. I did feel uneasy in places, there were some jump scares, didn't particularly make me jump, but I did feel the sort of sense of dread of what was going to jump out at you, so I thought that was really good. I like the fact as well that this movie wasn't scared to show you sort of, the violence towards the children. A lot of films and TV shows will step away from any sort of violence towards children, but if a killer clown is going to be predominantly stalking and killing children, then I think to make it believable, you've got to show them getting hurt or injured. The way that the first scene with Georgie I thought was well done compared to the original one. There was a little bit more realism and violence in that scene without giving too many spoilers. I thought the creepiest scene was probably actually nothing to do with Pennywise, probably wasn't intentionally supposed to be creepy, but was the scene where Beverly's talking to the pharmacist. I thought that was straight up creepy, especially if you're a parent and you see some dude talking to a young girl like this. It just made me feel uncomfortable, and it was absolutely nothing to do with Pennywise or the kids being stalked by Pennywise. It was straight up weird. It made me feel a bit uneasy, that scene. Other scenes I thought were well done was the projector scene, very well done, like that. Just generally most scenes where Pennywise stalked the children, I thought it was just really well done, and the connection between Pennywise and the kids, it just all worked. I just think everything about this movie worked pretty much. The only thing I would moan about this movie would be some of the CGI moments where Pennywise was running really fast at them. I think it looked a bit strange, not especially scary, but overall, nothing really I can really moan about this movie for. Absolutely loved it. Cannot wait for the next one, and that's a slight spoiler, but I think everyone would know that's going to happen. This movie focused purely on the kids' part of the story, and we all know from the 90s TV show and the novel that it's based on when they're adults and their children. The 90s movie, where it went back and forth between the kids and the adults, didn't seem to work, I don't feel. The second part of that miniseries was just shockingly bad. So doing it this way, I think, just purely concentrating on the children's part of the story, worked absolutely brilliantly. So overall, it was a solid movie, not much to pick fault at for me. I think fans of the original miniseries novel will be pleased with this. Some will always not be happy with these sorts of remakes and things like that, and they'll always pick fault in it. And that's absolutely fine. Not everyone's going to love everything. For me, loved it, can't fault it, really enjoyed it, and yeah, can't wait for the next one. So my rating for this movie, I would give this an absolutely solid 9 out of 10. If you haven't seen it, you've got to get out and see it. It needs to be seen in the cinema. Absolutely loved it. I've been to see it twice now. I'd go happily again to see it. Absolutely fantastic film. Okay, thanks for watching my latest film review, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a big thumbs up. Leave some comments about what you thought of the movie if you've seen it. Let me know what your thoughts on my review. Any other comments relating to the movie, don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I do more film reviews, other movie related content, as well as my collecting of Funko Pops. I do food reviews, all kinds of nerdy stuff. So if you like anything that I've mentioned, have a look through my previous videos. If you enjoy, hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take it easy.
Maybe all front down here.